Hey there, welcome to the RPG Fantasy Sports Report. We're going Week 15, Playoff Edition. I'm RPG, as usual, Ron Burgundy. Get us going tonight. Just finished watching the Charger 49er game. That was real exciting. I had Phillip Rivers in my other league, 14 playoff. The last couple weeks he's not done much. They've been up ahead early. Single-handedly, he pretty much knocked me out of the playoffs. And in my other league, I actually got into the playoffs. I scooted in with some miracle backdoor awesomeness, only to play Phillip Rivers tonight. 275, 3 touchdowns. Awesome. So I'm here, not happy, but the job has to be done. We're talking Week 15, and obviously the biggest news, Aaron Rodgers. If you're still in the playoffs and you have Aaron Rodgers on your roster, one of three things probably happened. You had a bye last week, didn't have any playoffs, and you were cool with it. You already were in the playoffs, and perhaps that was the last week of the fantasy regular season. Didn't hurt you, or you got extremely lucky like I did. I got 2.3 out of Rodgers and still managed to get in the playoffs, but he's questionable. Second concussion this year. Doesn't look like he's going to play. It's a Sunday night game, which would usually mean a lot of trouble. You got to make a decision. Fortunately for us, Green Bay seems like they're going to make the decision on Saturday. They're going to let us know. They're going to call RPG and say, hey, he's not playing. I'd love for him to play. He's got a really nice matchup. I know New England's been killing people, but the Green Bay Packers offense is obviously way different when he's there. I expected a shootout. I think it would have been a great game. So hopefully he plays, but obviously health first. But so here we are, 15 weeks in. It's amazing. The thing about the playoffs that I love is that 5 weeks ago you make a decision, don't think twice about it. Now you think 50 times before you start it. Everybody's overanalyzing it. Try not to do that because you don't want to change too much. You want to sort of do what's gotten you here. There's a couple matchups this week I don't like. I don't like Adrian Peterson's matchup whatsoever. I don't like Mike Wallace's matchup whatsoever. Mike Wallace and Revis Island, I don't like him. He's usually in the top 15 receivers, maybe top 20. I don't even like him there at all. AP, horrible matchup. You know, I like somebody like Tim Hightower this week a lot. It's like a sleeper / flex. Would I sit AP because of that? No. Don't overthink it. Now, if you picked Hillis off the waiver wire and you drafted Arian Foster in the 4th round and got AP in the 1st, yeah, I'd start those two guys over Adrian Peterson. But it becomes about matchups. You don't just want to always start your studs as you get later in the year. But be smart. Don't overreact. Start your best lineup. There are some guys I do like this week. Obviously not always automatic starters. We've gone over this the last couple of weeks. Guys that can maybe slide into a flex or an RB2, a wide receiver 2. These aren't number ones because you're probably starting them for the most part. But at quarterback, if you lost Aaron Rodgers and you're afraid of not having him, which is probably going to be the case, Josh Freeman, Kerry Collins. I like both these guys more than a Ben Roethlisberger this week, Jay Cutler, Kyle Orton. Freeman, you know, he gets you some yards, running the ball. They are a run-first team. They are playing Detroit. This is the week to play them. That's who I'm playing in my league, so let's hope he does well. Detroit gives up a lot of yards. Tampa Bay's defense has been susceptible to big plays. So if Detroit can stay in the game, we might see a lot of points. Freeman might get a couple touchdowns. Kerry Collins goes back to my rule every week. The Houston Texans secondary is not good. I know Collins had 3 touchdowns last week, but he was playing catch-up against the Colts. But, you know, he's going to dump the ball off to Chris Johnson, and that counts for points too. So I like those two guys this week. At running back, Jonathan Stewart. I remember when D'Angelo Williams was out, and I put everything behind Jonathan Stewart. He didn't do anything. This is probably about 8-9 weeks ago. Again, you got to sort of like him here. The Arizona Cardinals defense is not great. They played well last week. They're a whole different team on the road. I like Carolina stuffing the ball to Stewart and him doing something this week. No Sean Moreno. He's on the cusp of being a number 1 running back, but you know you got him for probably number 2 or number 3 value. Denver's passing game's a mess. Moreno, just ride him right now. I mean, he's still not getting a ton of carries yet. He's still producing, but I like him obviously this week. And Tim Hightower. His 2 touchdowns were in garbage time against the Broncos last week, but Beanie Wells has got the flu, and the Cardinals are going to have to run the ball. You know, John Skelton, you know, he looks pretty good for a first-time starter, but at the same time, Carolina's run defense is weak. They're going to have to establish the run if they want to do anything, and Hightower runs the ball. The problem is he just can't hold on to the ball, but he runs hard, and he's their goal line back. I like him as a flex this week. At receiver, Garcon, Austin Collie. Austin Collie's supposed to come back. If he's able to play, I like both of them against a very vulnerable Jaguars defense. Peyton Manning seemed to get back on the right track last week, and I like him going big this week. Kenny Britt. He fumbled last week, but he is a stud. I had to drop him in one of my leagues just because of roster space, and the hamstring injury seemed bad, but he looked real good this week. Again, nobody in the Texans can guard this guy. He's way too big. I love him this week. Brandon Marshall hasn't done much all season, hurt his hammy. Last week, 2 catches, 16 yards, did get a touchdown. Chad Henne's horrible. He's done nothing. I think Marshall does some damage this week. At least I hope he does. He's not obviously produced anywhere where you drafted him, but he's still a big target, and I think Miami's going to have to pass the ball a little bit in Buffalo to beat him. Their running game is just pretty much invisible. Chad Ochocinco. T.O.'s obviously the receiver to start there, but I do like Ochocinco against Cleveland. He sort of just disappeared, off people's radars, and justifiably so. But I do like both those receivers, even though I think they're going to try to establish the run with Benson. Cleveland just doesn't have size in the secondary to take these 2 guys. I like them both, but Ochocinco is probably the one you're not starting. I like him this week. And sort of a sneaky Joe Webb, quarterback, Minnesota. In some sites like Yahoo, he's eligible as a receiver. Now, he's probably going to have some turnovers, but he's got mad speed and any kind of touch. I mean, it's almost like starting a quarterback at the receiver position. Not a great quarterback, but if you're desperate for a flex position or a wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3, and certain people have bad matchups like a Mike Wallace, I'm not necessarily saying you start Joe Webb over him, but it's something to think about because he's going to touch the ball every time because he's getting snaps. Most leagues, he's not eligible as a receiver, but if he can, it could be a smart play. And 2 tight ends. Owen Daniels, I know Schaub threw the ball about 62 times last week, but Daniels looked healthy. I'd recommended him in a past couple episodes earlier in the season, and he just kept getting hurt. Man, he played a lot of snaps. He was a little rusty, but he was a big part of that offense. Granted, they threw the ball a lot, but Houston's going to throw the ball a lot. I really like him going forward, especially with the lack of depth of the tight end position with all the injuries that have happened. And Kevin Boss, I mentioned the guy. Receivers come back. They get hurt. Steve Smith's out for the rest of the year. Manningham's got a hip injury, although he's going to play. I like Kevin Boss this week and what I think is going to be a high-scoring game against Philadelphia. So those are some of the guys I like this week. Obviously, go with your gut. Look at matchups. Look at weather. Look at who's playing at home. Look at if the defense is good against the pass or not. You want to do all that research, but it's all about gut feeling at the same time. So do your research. RPG's tip of the week. We haven't been doing tips of the week, but in terms of playoffs, since we're in the playoffs, this is sort of where this is coming from. If you're playing in a 12-team league, and that's what I talk about, those are my 2 leagues, that's pretty much average. No more than 6 teams making the playoffs. I'm talking to a buddy of mine today, and he's in a 12-team league, and 8 teams make the playoffs. That's just too many. You got some team that's 3 games under 500 sneaking in and shocking the world, even though the number 1 seed is 13-1, and they've earned their right. 6 is okay because the first 2 guys, the first and second place, can get a bye. Both of mine are 3 division winners and a wild card. We play 2 weeks. That's it. The regular season is 13 to 14 weeks. You've earned the right to be in the playoffs, and somebody that's 5-9 at the 8th seed just isn't. And they can get really lucky and make a run. I don't think that's really fair. So these 8-team playoffs, I think, are a bit ridiculous. So, condense it down, make the regular season worth something. It's like the NBA. The NBA regular season means nothing because the same teams make the playoffs every year, and you got 16 teams, 8 in each conference. It's just too many. I mean, it's too many. So let's knock it down to 6 at the most, where the first 2 guys get a bye. And also, no Week 17 football. Cut it off. That's also like having an 8th team in there. This year, it doesn't look like many teams are going to be sitting guys. There isn't an Indianapolis that's going undefeated. New England a couple years ago. Maybe Atlanta in a couple weeks, after New Orleans next week. Maybe if they've clinched, they may sit a couple guys. But there's just too many things that can happen in Week 17, and you don't want to lose because of luck. So those are my tips. I'll be back again next week going over what probably is the championship in most leagues. If you're still alive, good luck. If you're still alive with Aaron Rodgers, let's just hope the guy plays. And if not, I hope you have a viable backup. It's going to be a good week. I got all my guys playing in the morning at once, even though Phillip Rivers just lit me up tonight. I'm already in a 30-point hole, but stranger things can happen, and don't ever give up. So good luck this weekend. Have a good pre-holiday weekend. We got a 4-day weekend come up with the holiday. I'm pretty happy about that. So and a little bump again to my San Diego State Aztecs. 11-0, 10th in the country.